Hello everyone, this is Dr. Rajni, Assistant Professor, Department of Materia Medica, FHS. Today we are here to discuss a remedy which is very much suitable for abortion cases, especially of threatened abortion, that is sickle cornutum. Mostly it is, if you see in the clinical aspect, wherever it is used mostly in the abortion, threatened abortions, albuminuria, bladder paralysis, also fibroma, gangrene, gastritis, gland swellings, suppurations also, goiter, hemorrhagic diathesis, palpitations, excessive menstruations, also suppressed milk, miscarriages, degeneration of the nails, tumor of ovaries, false pregnancies. These are the places clinically where mostly it is being used. Now this actually how it started. So first we'll talk about the uses. Now rye and grasses, they are mostly apt to be affected with the argot disease in damp season, when grown on the damp or ill drained lands. So argot diseases actually grows there. It affects those places or those grasses. Now if these grasses are being eaten up by the breeding cows, actually they are very much liable to abort their calves, first thing. Now that is why argot has been known as a hastener of parturition from ancient eras, ancient times. Now its other actions, if you talk about, have been for the most part that was terrible epidemics of argotism. Also death takes place in convulsion or also in gangrene, exhaustions, exhausting hemorrhages, discharges or diarrhea. So basically the death takes place from the convulsions, gangrenous affections, also the consequent exhaustions which comes from the hemorrhage, discharges or diarrhea. Many people or many cows in those days, if we talk about, who escape immediate death, are reduced to cachectic state, and that never gets recovered, never gets cured. Now what happens? Now that leads to paralysis, especially of the limbs, which becomes distorted. Impaired sensations will be there. Also, in general, if you see, the sufferer retains a clearer intellect and a good, also good appetite that they retain. Nervous symptoms, if you see, they have convulsions. Body sometimes becomes very rigid, and sometimes it is being seen with in alteration with relaxation, especially in the hands it is seen. If you talk about the keynote symptom during this is they have fingers spread widely apart. They keep their fingers widely apart, which is a keynote symptom in sickle core during this rigidity, this convulsion. Muscles of the face and abdomen also has twitchings, incontinence and a retention of the urine will be seen. Also you see spasmodic retching, contraction of the stomach. Also this leads to the dry gangrene of the parts, especially any part, but yes, dry gangrene it leads to. Also sickle core has the tendency to shrivel up the skin, which makes it dry and harsh. So if you see which kind of person it is suited to, it is suited to mostly thin women, feeble, who are cachectic in appearance, irritable in temperament, nervous temperament, sunken countenance who have, to very old and worn out persons that you see. Especially suited to irritable plethoric subjects who have lax muscular fibers. If you see their muscle, you will feel like it is very much loose. passive hemorrhages who have, or copious flow of thin black watery blood where you see, So Sekeli core actually lessens the coagulating power of the blood and produces a hemorrhagic diathesis, which is persistent and offensive. If you talk about the bleeding tendency, even the small wound persistently bleed. This is what the diathesis is, you know. Uh, Also, if you see that uh, characteristic, what you see here, which helps in the selection, will be aggravation from external heat. Especially this applies in the cholerac patients, gangrene. Also in cholera cases, you see that patient is very much cold, almost pulseless, and spasmodic twitchings will be there of muscles and in various parts. Sunken eyes, surface very harsh, shriveled, dry, as if there is no moisture left in the body, Now, another peculiar symptom is, though cold to touch, they cannot bear to be covered. How much ever cold they feel outside, they do not want to cover it. They do not want to be covered. They don't allow other people to cover themselves, Now, this also has one contradictory symptom, that it has burning among its characteristic sensations. Burning in all parts of the bodies. Now, which kind of sensation they have? As if sparks were falling on the patient. They also have sensation in numbness, that is there, tingling as if ants are crawling all over, which is better by rubbing. Also, it accompanies hemorrhages. Associated symptoms, if you see, loss of other fluids also will be there, debility will be there, skin affections also will be there. Sometimes they also, anesthesia also will be present. If you talk about the discharges are very exhausting and offensive. Diarrhea also, which is a discharge, is involuntary, as if like with wide open anus. They have skin disorders also, like boils, where the small boils are very much painful. They have the greenish contents, and they mature very slowly, heal very slowly, very weakening they are, but bleeds a lot, persistently it bleeds. Also, they have eye affections like pustulous conjunctivitis, suppuration of cornea, dilated pupils, distortion and strabismus, suppressed tears. Catarrhs also are caused in many instances, but aggravation from warmth will be the leading indications everywhere. It also shows its effect in exophthalmic goiters. Also, sickle core has hollow viscera and violent palpitations which it induces. It also has great affinity for the uterus. As I have said, that it has the tendency to induce abortions. Also, if you see where it is indicated, mostly in threatened abortions, especially at the third month. If a lady conceives but gets abortions are led in the third month, again the second time when they conceive and they see that this time also the abortion happened in the third month, this shows the action of sickle core, the requirement for sickle core in that patient, with bearing down or forcing pains in the uterine region or abdominal regions. Other place where you see the indication is during the labor. There the pain is very irregular, feeble, weak and seizing. Third thing where you see is after the pain, that is when too long or too excessive, or where there is hourglass contraction of the uterus there. Also, it is seen for the suppression and non-appearance of milk. Uh, Also, the menses of the sickle cord patients, ladies, will be irregular, copious, dark, completely dark fluids also, which is accompanied by labor-like pains in the abdomen. There may be continuous watery discharges of the blood during the whole time between the periods, you know. Uh, Also, they have peculiar sensations, you know. Some of them are mostly they feel intoxicated while undressing. Uh, Also, they have a tongue as if it is paralyzed, eyes as if were spasmodically rotated. Sometimes they feel they have sensation of plugs in the nose. They have some resistance to be overcome in speech. The stomach, they feel as if some heavy weight is there in the stomach. Contraction will be present in the region of the stomach. Uh, Testis, sometimes in the males, they feel like it is being drawn up to the inguinal ring. In females, you see that uterus, they feel it is as if it is burnt. So during in that particular area, they feel it is burned. There will be burning sensation, and they feel it is burnt. Also, they feel like as if the contents of the uterus would fall forward. Sometimes they feel like as if some soft air were creeping through the back. Also, in sacrum, they have a sensation which is they feel as if the sacrum would be forced out. Sometimes they feel under the skin that something alive is creeping. Uh, Also, they have in limbs which they think like it is in the for long time in the hot water. That kind of burning sensation or the heat will be felt. They also have a sparking of fire kind of sensation in different parts. Sometimes they say for this creeping as alive is mice, or ant. Uh, Mostly sickle cure is indicated in suppressions, especially which kind of suppressions? Tears, lochia, milk, or sweat. Mouth will be very much dry. With thirst it will be, and burning will be present. Mostly the desire for lemonade and sour things. Aversion to fat and meat. The symptoms mostly, if you see, are aggravated by touch, uh, ameliorated by lying up, lying down, especially when they are doubled up in the bed. Also, they have sinking some sensations, especially in the morning 3 a.m. You know. Uh, Next, if you see, they have warm drink amelioration, wet bandages, labor pains. All symptoms mostly aggravate just before the menses. This also is there in sickle cord. Mostly all the symptoms they feel aggravated or worst before the menses, just before the menses. That is 1 or 2 days before the menses, they start feeling all the symptoms. Side, if you talk about, they are predominantly of right-sided remedy. They also have symptoms aggravating in the night, that is mostly cramps and twitchings. Also, they want to be fanned. Warm applications, warm drinks, those things mostly ameliorates. Also, next, what you see here is the antidote. Now, it is antidoted by camphor and opium in the relationship if we talk about. So, antidoted by camphor and opium. If you talk about its compatibility here, in compatibility you see that they have mostly compatible to China, arsenic, aconite, belladonna, also mercury. Now, in labor pains, if you talk about, then cinnamon in postpartum hemorrhages, because cinnamon increases the labor pain and controls profuse or dangerous flooding. So that. Now, labor-like pain, what you see here in HCLN is pulsatilla, sulfur, belladonna, calcarea, colophyllum, lilium tigrinum, sepia, viburnum opulus. That one is being seen similar to all these remedies. Also, you see that they have a flow between the periods, especially, which is very much similar to Bovista. Uh, Also, next, if you see in cholera, collapse, where you see camphor, veratrum, these are the remedies where it is very much similar to. Also, you see that they have a calibi in the cold surfaces where you see tingling will be there, limbs, speech shuddering, you know. So, this is all about sickle core. In next class, we'll read about some other remedy. Thank you.